Minutes from September 26th.
I'd run with this.
I'll make a motion to accept the meetings, the minutes.
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Don't have any mail, no appointments. Bring this to the FY 25 to the date. Yeah.
Yes, so if you go to your forecast actual spreadsheet, the, I think we went over October. So our forecast for October was roughly 202, and we came in at 213. Last year we did 213. And for November, which is a combination November, December, we have forecasted at 106, and with not much time left, we are at 130 as of right now. So we've got that one beat. Obviously, the weather's changed, temperatures have changed, so demand is diminished, but we're holding on and looking to, at this point, get whatever's left of any decent weather and then sell any season passes to move into spring. So
They say the weather's gonna go back to 50.
yeah,
Yeah,
look, I think this Tuesday seems to be the hot day that everybody wants to play on, so we'll see what happens on Tuesday.
Of course, that's the day I want to spray. Always works that way.
So there's another 24,000 off the projections.
Yes.
Yeah, so roughly 150 year to date ahead of projection.
Yep,
That's good.
holding on strong. I mean, Steve will tell you, if there's a decent day, the bodies are there, and they're itching to go, so.
It's a typical frost delay,
Depends.
Like that.
10:30.
And, well,
11:30.
depends. Lately, it's been 10:30 because it's been, the ground has actually gotten cold now. So the frost is hanging around, and if some doesn't hit something, it'll be there all day.
Right.
The typical was about 9:30 before the beginning of this week. In past weekends, we were about that. Try to send the walkers off first, keep the carts on the path for 5 or 6 holes until it finally warmed up. But that's usually about what it is. But when the nighttime temperatures are down in the high teens and low 20s, it's not going to go anywhere for, sun doesn't come up now until 7:30, quarter to 8. It's going to take some time.
So we are almost time to close, right?
Well, yeah, our juxtaposition is the trailer, the pipes. So, I mean, at some point, as soon as we hit that sub-freezing, your pipes will freeze. I mean, we got the water dripping now. They had forecasted this week to be at 18 with an Alberta clipper coming through, but we ended up sitting up a little bit warmer than that. So the pipes haven't frozen, and we've been allowed to play a little bit. But the play has diminished significantly in the past 7 to 8 days.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get anything past the 15th to,
No. We get to that point and people start thinking Christmas presents.
yeah.
Am I gonna spend money on golf or am I gonna buy some gifts? So that's where the wife and the kids win. It's that 1 week.
Well, we've been spoiled by the past year.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Even October, I mean, the weather was, it was just shy of 80 degrees for 2.5 weeks.
Like you.
Any other questions on the
Rest
revenue?
of speed in the refrigeration.
What's that? Any other questions on the revenue?
No.
No.
The only thing is that our plan seems to be changing a little bit. We would have a car forecast of 151,000. Dana, you were looking into that to find out.
Yeah, I discussed that with you. The Online bookings, when they book and sell online weekends, it comes out as one price and it goes in as a golf fee. It doesn't have a separation. When we call,
So you can't tell
Yeah.
them what our card
Can't.
usage is.
correct, but you get the full fee as one price for golf on the weekend. And if it's called in and we book it, it goes in and registers as golf and cart. So,
So somehow we need to take a look at that when we forecast it.
yeah, I mean, as you're gonna see, as if that's the way that the system is programmed and the way that it calculates, you will see as more internet bookings take place, less carts being charged and more fees being earned.
So sometime we gotta figure out how to.
A percentage of what it is, yeah.
Estimate that. And the second one is Passover in October was way down.
Yes, passes were out of stock. There was a processing issue with the production of the passes. So,
Those are the
basically,
books.
yes, the pass books. So those were on basically hold until we got them last week. And then, as you can see on, actually it's not there, but I gave Ed the report for the current November. It was about 19,000 in November for season passes. As people get closer to the end of the year, you're still gonna see people coming and buying the passes because they want to avoid the upcharge on the increase in rates for next
Right.
season.
So we need to keep a close look at the inventory of books we have.
Which I gotta be honest, that holdover is not a bad thing for us because you got rack rates for the people that ran out of passes, and it kind of puts that demand perspective on the customer to say, listen, it does say on the sign, limited issue. It's not, you can't buy these passes eternally and infinitively.
Right.
There is a limited amount, and at some
Well,
point, we will have to
Correct, we'll have to
set
set
it,
that.
correct. That's exactly where I was going.
But if we are out of them, can you sell them anyway?
You can't, you gotta have the
Yeah,
book,
yeah,
because you
yeah.
gotta register it, with the town hall, what the book number is, so that they can count them as they come in. So it's accounting practices, accurate accounting practices. So I think, I mean, all in all, I think it's not a good thing to have it, but it actually works to our advantage to show that the principals, up until this time, you could have bought them forever, because we didn't have the demand, and
But
since
we've been
COVID.
watching it,
Yeah.
it's been about 12% for
Mhm.
the last 10 years,
Yep.
so we need to be careful
Yes,
depending on what our price increase occurs in the
Yes.
differential.
Well, and we had this discussed preseason, I was having Twilight guys starting to buy passes. So that's part of the rate increase when we look at them. I've repositioned the pricing so that everything is laid out the way that it used to be, and you won't have any pass holders buying passes now because all the prices are in step processes. Your season pass shouldn't be a better bargain than any of your rates, regular rates. The best rate in town is the resident rate, and then we step forward from there and move forward, so. I just kind of put everything in sync. Again, this is, you look at it, you see it, we can amend it, change it, whatever, but, we can walk through the particulars.
Last year, we were, through November, we were up more than 150,000.
Mhm.
Considerable more? I don't remember.
For forecast and actual
Forecast,
revenue,
yeah.
yes.
So we're down. With the weather, obviously, hot weather, then cold weather.
I'd have to go in and actually pull the calculations for the rounds and the months so that they matched up. I did it just
Versus
for
the
the
plan.
revenues
Versus
versus last year.
last year's plan.
Yes. Well, I was gonna go against last year's actuals and just tally them up and see where we were at, and get a total, but, I mean, you can eyeball them right now and it's
You're
relatively close,
You're ahead of last
We're
year's
ahead.
actuals
yes.
Versus
in each month.
Versus plan.
Huh?
Versus plan last year. All right. Moving along.
Yeah, you're up about 200 rounds about.
Well, even if you look at it, if you compare the actual.
That's what I'm looking at, the actual.
If you look at the actuals, you're still,
If you look at, the winter is, September. That jumps it up, it covers all the other, variances.
500. Yeah, so still, round figure is still 250.
Yeah. So the demand, again, is still there with the competition that's out there. Steve has the place in great shape. Again, we're priced accordingly. Nobody is making the right moves in their operations, whether it's maintenance-wise, or pricing-wise, or product-wise, or service-wise, to come at us head-to-head at this point. So we're in a good position. And I was gonna say this later, but I'll say it now. We started out in last place when we came into the business, and we are now the market leader. We did the unthinkable, we did the unachievable, because nobody comes in and breaks into a market and becomes the market leader, and we did it pretty quickly.
I think that leads us right into the next item, which is proposed rate increases for next year.
Yes, so, I mean, I just kind of put this out there. You don't have to approve it today, but we can start digesting the numbers, taking a look at it. And my thought process was in pricing, checking the rates through the season and see where we were at and how much other people really got after the sticky inflation and increased their rates. We priced ourselves accordingly, as we always do. And that's what creates part of our demand along with the conditions of the course. So with that in mind, I think we went up $5 last year. The proposal was to go $5 again this year. Other courses were going up 8, 12, even more than that. Allendale, weekdays were 100, weekends are 113. They're gouging their customers, they're hurting themselves. I don't suggest that we do that, but we should be mindful of our place in the market and maintain our spot as we've done in the past, with a little bit of mindset that we are moving forward, we are growing the business, and we are working our way to a better product, as the NGF described. We want to go to the next level. Well, you can't just jump. When we get to that point, you can't just jump one time. You have to start leading and edging your way there. So this is one of those steps in that process.
What Allendale charges now for regular play?
They were doing $100 on the weekday and $113 on the weekend. They were,
Where they were before.
They're doing like surge pricing.
Yes.
It's crazy. It's like, if there's like high demand, I saw it up to $120 to
Yes.
get to play.
It changes just like that.
Yeah.
yep. You call 5 days out, could be $90. You walk into the door and go to pay.
Boy, that doesn't make sense at all.
No, Golf Now tried talking me into doing the surge pricing, and I was like, that is not a business principle or practice that we want to follow. That sounds to me like price gouging to your customers. It's not customer friendly, it's not our MO, I'm not interested. And then they tried selling me, you know how much money you're leaving on the table, blah, blah, blah. And we've always had the discussion in the mindset, it's not a $100 customer on the spot. It's a lifetime customer for 20 years, coming in repeatedly, buying pass holder books, doing your outings at our place, and being a 2 to 3 time regular avid golfer of Acushnet River Valley. And Steve provides a product that is consistent, 10 times more consistent than all these other golf courses, and that's one of the driving factors. Now, the price doesn't hurt, but obviously they come because the product is good. So if we gouge people, we're gonna end up hurting ourselves in the long run, and I don't think we wanna do that to the town. I think we've done a great job thus far in being somewhat conservative in our approach.
It's silly, it's like going to buy something and you pick it up and you go to the
Yeah.
register's $5 more than
Yeah,
what the price of
exactly.
the thing says.
That would be just foolish.
I don't get that.
So, and supposedly I heard from Allendale, they're switching out of this soft, I think they're on their 3rd software package, over there, so, yeah. And actually, I didn't have that on my agenda, but that was one of the things I want to address. We have an opportunity to get Lori Handerhand, who was Justy's right-hand woman, in the pro shop. She's filled out, I've submitted 2 applications, for our pro shop, and you know I handpick my people and they stay for 20 years. Steve has 2 or 3 of my guys that I employed 20 years ago.
They
This
were
is,
actually employed initially when the course opened.
yeah, we want this woman. This is the person we want working in our shop. They just, Lori Hanahan, they, didn't give her the appropriate professional, courtesy and treatment from Allendale. She worked at the back nine with Juicy for quite a few years, and then when he jumped ship to Allendale, he pulled her over there, she was working with him again. He went out on injury, they were, not handling her appropriately, and I put the bug in her ear, we'd love to have you. And so.
Is that the one that I met there, the one day I was there was a small?
Yes, yep, that's her.
She talks well.
Yep, sweet person, good PR, good customer service, sharp, minimal training, knows how to do the tournament already, tournament setup, everything. So she's a plug and play person. If I owned this golf course, I would have hired her on the spot.
So where are we?
Waiting to hear back from the selectmen and Jamie. So if somebody wants to fire an inquiry, I'd love to have her.
We've been trying
Waiting
to
back.
get to add somebody, for a while now, so
Yep.
we've got someone interested.
Grab
Make
it.
sure that's happening.
My thing was to get her in 2 or 3 weeks ago so I could train her on the system before we closed, but,
Well, it should be pretty easy,
Yeah.
because if I remember right, there's a section or something that was entered into our budget.
yes.
Where you actually, you're, well, obviously our budget, but
Mhm.
your portion of the budget for someone capable of doing that, so they intended to do it anyway, so it should be.
Plug and play.
Yeah, it
Is
should
this
be.
a full-time position?
She won't be full-time. But
Seasonal?
even if she's
Seasonal?
definitely seasonal, and even if she's not full-time, I still want her as a go-to in the shop. She's definitely one you wanna keep.
Can you start the process? She fill out all the-
Applications in, resumes in, phone calls have been made, waiting to hear back.
Yeah, when's that gonna happen?
I don't know.
Well,
Getting hit over here, we didn't get, you didn't get anything on that, did you?
well, you guys have more control of the propane than Dana and I do, so you need to speak with the, turn the heat up on the powers that be, because we're just lowly employees.
That's it.
It'd be nice to get it done like tomorrow, but.
They have
See,
all the
that's-
paperwork.
That's part of the problem. You get
I even have her
somebody-
path form
Do we
filled
have the
out,
paperwork?
ready to go.
Do
The-
we-
The selectmen have it, the
do we have it?
you don't have the paperwork. They have copies of everything. It's on
But it
Jamie's
wasn't
desk.
supposed to start here first?
The last, 5 or 6 people I've submitted to them, and they've been hired right from there. So it eliminated a step, and it was moving rather quickly. There seems to be a holdup on this one, so.
They've got, they've got.
They're changing like the weather.
I was gonna bring it tonight, I
They've
forgot.
got some issues to take
That's
care
what
of
they
in the
should
first
be
2
talking
weeks of
about.
this month. so.
If you swing by tomorrow, I'll have it at the shop. If you want, well, I'll give it to you on the weekend.
I mean, they have a system and it's always changing.
You ain't lying. I got more forms to fill out forms of other forms. With the same information.
Fill out a form for the form.
Yeah, right.
All right, so we have this first look at rates for the next year, right?
Yes.
So essentially 5, I see a couple of 4s in there, and those are passbooks, essentially $7 round up on
Yeah.
passbooks.
Because we gotta get, you know how we did those
Right, gotta keep it
every
high.
other year? Well, they had fallen behind and they got caught up in that inflation jump on everybody, so they were really far behind.
Can you stay?
We got,
So it's-
yes,
yeah, That's been like the last few years.
yes.
right? Yeah.
And I've been seeing unfamiliar
I
faces
think
coming
we
in,
brought that up. at
buying
one
some
of the-
passbooks, so I'm like, we gotta get that back in step, and this
Yeah.
does that.
No, that's still a nice discount, looking at the per round.
Oh, it
Yes,
is.
that's why I put that there.
Yeah, look at the Pro Pass and the, both of them, all of them.
It's like 20%, if not, it's right around that ballpark. It's a decent price. It shouldn't be more than that, you know what I mean? Shouldn't be getting like a 35, 40% discount.
So what kind of a discount is it?
It's in the 20 range. The numbers are right there. Your weekend's gonna be $80, and your Pro Pass 40 is gonna be $55. So that's, it's a steal.
$25.
It's a steal.
25 divided by 80.
It's a good deal.
two prices divided by the 100 days.
Right.
So there's even room on that in the upcoming years as we progress. I mean, again, Brad, we don't wanna bite off too big a bite,
I know.
but,
We're doing 36,000 rounds.
mhm,
That's kind of where we want to be, in my mind,
right,
even though with the National Golf Foundation saying 39, and then 44 once we do
No,
the clubhouse.
no
And
way.
I'm like, where the hell did that come
You're
from?
gonna be over here, right?
Well, it's not so
well,
much that,
we did 42,000 in COVID,
you're gonna,
Yeah, that's a different
With the
situation.
clubhouse
Yeah.
closed and nothing but a window, so.
Yeah,
you
so
know, that's, in order to increase your rounds, you're not going to do it by staying open all year. You're going to do it by attracting different people who are going to play at different times.
Right.
Because our peak times are full now anyway.
right, well, eventually what we would have to do is,
And so, and that's the 36,000.
we would have to do what I've generally done on Wednesdays and Fridays, when the leagues walked away, we go full sheet
Yeah, right.
on that day up until the league, and now you get an extra 2.5 hours of rounds, same thing on Friday. That adds like, I think it was like $30,000 a year on both those days. So,
Which-
when a league
which
leaves
brings us to
Tuesday,
the point that we need leagues.
well, you don't now, but in a dry part of the cycle of golf, they're a godsend because they show up.
And I'd be curious, I think the leagues also cater to local people
Right.
quite a bit too, and you don't wanna.
Right.
you know, you
Oh,
still-
yeah,
You still wanna
definitely.
keep your,
Some
keep that
leagues.
for the local, yeah, some leagues.
Yeah, a lot of them, this league, that LaCroix league, they come from all over the place.
All right.
They're just not local. They come all the way from Rhode Island, yeah. I don't know how many people he has, like 90, 80?
80 guys, it's the biggest
But, yeah,
league we
they're all not local.
Yeah, I was
There's
gonna
quite a
say, yeah.
few. Yeah.
Do we have a projection based on each increase for a total?
It's about 188K,
One point,
188,000, if you,
1 million?
if you punch in those rates on the rounds that we have, about 188,000
More addition?
in addition. It's small, but you can have that one in. I'll redo it in bigger print. My printer was broke, I just got it fixed today.
You just said,
So what's that number coming to?
188,000
On top of,
on top of what your current, yeah, whatever your current sales, your current revenues would be.
so
Should
we
be at
can
2.2
have
roughly.
188,000 more in expenses,
Roughly.
roughly.
Not sure you want to challenge that. So this is another thing I want to point out too, is, and Manny mentioned it before the meeting started, we had some great weather. And this weather has been good for years now. We've had seasons when we were knocked out for 3 weeks at a time with rain.
Spring was pretty good.
Eventually, we're gonna get hit. And if our forecast keeps going up and you don't make the 300,000 that you have booked for that month, there's no coming back. And we've said this before, you lose a day, it's gone. There's no comeback on it. So,
Funny how that works.
we've been conservative not only on our pricing, but we've been conservative on our forecasting. It appears that we're getting more aggressive on our forecasting, and you know how I feel about that. I've stated our case, we've had multiple discussions over the years in the pro shop on whose number, where we're gonna go from here, and my feeling has always been, be conservative, leave your room to achieve the number, but don't forecast it, because if you spend it and we hit a COVID year,
I know
hypothetically.
that's where when the National Golf Foundation start to predict 39,000 rounds and 44,000 rounds. I'm like,
I could put 39,000 rounds through there.
yeah, right.
I could.
You could.
I know you don't want it, but I could get it through there.
Close the clubhouse, open the window, put a mask on everybody.
Now, just put the stuff by the first hole.
Who was at the gazebo? There's an idea. Well, I'm just saying,
If you're gonna do that,
conservative
you
is the
better-
way, is my
Better cut
opinion.
some more trees and make some more area, because golf carts are beating the snot out of you already.
You're right, we need more
It all gets back to the
more
mix of what
teams.
we want to do.
Mhm.
How much we want of just pure business versus
Right.
like outings, leagues, whatever, just finding the right balance for us, regardless of the max number they think we could do if we changed our model.
Right,
We're gonna do what's best for us.
yes.
You know what, Dave, I think we're very close or not at our
I think so too.
point.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if you go too far past that point,
Yeah,
you're going to have a certain population of people
Unsatisfied.
that you've always had come, who are going to be unsatisfied because of time, because they can't get a tea time or something like that.
And we already hear that,
They're gonna
you
leave.
know,
You hear
we
that
already
all the
hear
time.
it.
So I think you're pretty close to that right now.
You guys are not tech savvy and don't book online, because if you book online, you can book at 9 o'clock the night before.
Yeah.
But if you're calling,
Call
if
in
you
the
can't,
morning.
if you just show up, I'm turning you back to the parking lot. That happens now. Back in the day, Steve would tell you, I wouldn't turn away, Andrew would tell you, we wouldn't turn away anybody. Anybody who came would play golf, but you just don't have the space anymore. You don't have the time.
It's a good thing,
It's a great thing, but
Kind of. a good-
yeah, no,
we
it's
just
just,
gotta, we gotta,
Better than the
Control.
alternative.
yeah.
there's some things
Chasing it,
around that.
all
yeah.
those years chasing
Kind
our
of a
numbers
good-
was
Kind
hell.
of a good thing when you got $2.7 million worth of deferred maintenance that needs to be turned around.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
So
one step at a time. You do one project at a time, pick them up.
Right. So the first draft of potential revenue will lead us right into the next thing, first draft of budget or operations next year.
So, I just kinda went over this real quick, cause the meeting kinda just popped up, yes. That's a rough first go of the number, and, again, much like the rates, we can modify that, but at least we have, a plan to start with. And as well as, like I said, before, I'll meet up with Steve this week, we'll, collaborate and fill in our columns and put them in together so we can have a final number for presentation.
These two
I don't have any
columns-
significant increases in my budget,
These columns at the top to stop by a year, so that'd be 25 and 26.
yes.
Yes, well, I think it's the numeric year
Yes,
as
that's
opposed
what I
to the
was-
fiscal year.
Correct.
So what you see, mine did the same, I had scratch it off. 2024 is the expenses with the budget we have now.
Yeah.
2025 is the new one, although, you know, there are some differences in the 2024.
The only thing is, if you went down it, the rentals, I put on a note on it, that looks like it jumps up, but that's the Golf Now, price, that's where our budget is. Yes, it's, yep, $1,000 a month, so that adds basically 12 grand to it. Golf shop, boosted up a little bit, we are, with the cost of goods going up in inflation, we have basically basic impulse items. I don't have any fill-in stuff, I don't have sweatshirts, I don't have, rain gear, so I have a multitude of things and gaps that I need to fill in, but we haven't had the money, because right now I don't have any golf balls in the shop. We're sold out, because it's that time of year and I'm not gonna reload, but in managing the items, you have to have golf balls, you have to have hats, and you have to have gloves. So that's what I go with. And then I try to use the money and put it in spots to fill gaps at certain times. So basically, I'm increasing that number to get some more stuff in the shop to sell with our logo. And it's not like you're gonna burn it, because you're gonna earn Keystone on it. So if it costs $40, you're gonna make $40. So it's not like you're throwing it away. It's an opportunity to grow revenues, and if I hit a spot and I don't need it, I don't spend it all. I just spend what I need to.
Is this the golf cart leases, correct?
I believe that's up to date with the current leases and the maintenance. 'Cause we were at 42, what is it, 42, 18, and 14 was our numbers? I forgot my phone in the car. And then 7,000 for the maintenance. Is that right?
Yeah, service maintenance. Now, that's lower than what our current budget total.
For the,
FY '25, this is FY '26, right?
it should match, this year's number is accurate, so it should match that number. Like I said, we announced this meeting, 3 days ago, so I've kind of been getting some
Yeah,
stuff ready.
We had a budget, then there were some changes made, recommended by the Board of Selectmen. But, golf cart leases and service contract was $85,350.
Yeah.
And then, equipment lease was $109,000, capital projects was $37,080.
Yep.
Yeah, that was by default.
Yeah,
And then they had given us some proposals on indirect costs. I didn't put those in mine because I wasn't sure where that was falling, if that was gonna hit the budget or not.
we're sitting on our budget right now. See, now, the confusing part is that all of the numbers that were provided to us with the changes that the Board of Selectmen wanted to see, they don't appear on the month-to-date budgets. Because, I don't know if it's because free cash or whatever hasn't been certified, but normally in the monthly budgets that we get, monthly budget reconciliation forms,
Okay,
Say
right.
it
percentages.
will list the original budget,
Yes,
what's spent,
And the original's
and what's
not
left.
in there.
The original's not in there yet, and this is
So you
December.
have,
So, I stuck, what
I
I
don't think
did
there's
is,
anybody to talk to.
so you
I
kind
think
of,
everybody left.
well, for my, for my,
I got the same phone call.
for my budget tracking, I stuck the numbers that they gave us in there. And I mean, you got 22,900 for salaries clerical, which,
That hasn't been touched
that
this
hasn't been
season.
touched yet.
Nope, so that's a buffer zone.
And we have, fringe benefits, I called the town hall to ask about that. They're not going to know what the impact is insurance-wise until almost the end of the year. So there's no way to influence that or to
All
put
right,
a
so,
number on
so our
that.
next meeting, we'll try to get a closer feel to where we want.
But I don't know if you noticed on their copy too, they had, the treasurer collector was going up from 5,700 to 8,200.
88,290.
How's that gonna fly? You got guys that work here, we can't get a pay raise, but we're gonna give them a 50% jump out of our budget.
Well, that's supposed to be the number that's in the budget now.
Yeah, it was, I believe.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Well, I don't think that was, no, but that wasn't presented to the finance committee for approval, and that wasn't presented to you guys for approval either.
No, that was what they.
That was done after the
What
fact.
they did is that's the Board of Selectmen and town administrator sat down after and looked at the budget. And of course, they had to make some changes for insurance because that was going to change.
Sure.
And they also had to make, I should say fringe benefits first, but also insurance. Because they felt that our insurance value was relatively low, so they bumped that up to 32.5. And, we decreased the telephone.
But they added the health insurance for 13.8, and then took general insurance from 35 to 32.
And the other thing you had to do is throw Medicare in there, because now we charge a Medicare. And there's a budgeted figure in there of $11,325 for Medicare. And we've, where is it?
So
So
are
far,
you two meeting with Jamie to go over this?
he hasn't requested that yet.
I'm gonna sit down with Steve, we're gonna put our eggs in the same basket, get our numbers squared away, and then we'll see what he wants to do with his side of the budget, and then we can all sit down and,
Does he have a schedule as to when we need?
I don't believe.
I haven't heard from, there has not been a memorandum sent out to department heads in
Yeah, I've
regards to
seen that.
necessity time for,
I thought someone just took me off that list too, so.
no, I haven't seen it yet. I mean, we're sitting right now.
I don't think anybody's in the office to send out the emails.
I don't have October numbers in there from Medicare, Medicaid, or whatever it is, but we spent about $3,000 on
Listen,
the 11,000.
we might have to put a line item to hire an accountant.
We had an account.
We had an accountant,
We had,
Had.
and we don't have an accountant. Accountant left.
He works for Lakeville now.
holy shit.
Cup of coffee.
We-
I'm stopping
You ain't gonna catch him unless you go to
I'm
Lakeville.
stopping by to meet him,
Yeah.
so I can,
Now you can't quote me on this, I believe he may be, I don't wanna get in trouble with anybody, maybe here part-time, but, from indications over in Lakeville, he started over there
so
on
now we
18th of the
need
month.
to get Judy back.
You, yeah.
I don't know if you're gonna get Judy back, I think Judy's, enjoying retirement, I
I think
guess, I don't
her
know.
plan was to train the new guy, and
Yeah, right,
I'm out.
That was the, well,
And
that's.
she trained him,
all right.
and then they both went out.
That's above,
Yeah.
my jurisdiction.
We just hearsay for us.
Yeah.
Time to move on to Steve's
What?
spray machine.
Acushnet training ground.
It's time for Steve's spray machine.
That's been a while, that fuel keeps moving like crazy
All
anyway.
right, gentlemen, I
Next
do
one.
have to bid you
Feels
guys
one
farewell.
way or another.
I have a prior engagement for this evening. By all means, I'll watch this on YouTube, catch up with what Steve's got, and then I'll reconvene with Ed with an application for Miss Lori Hanahan and Steve on the budget, and we'll catch up on the details. If anything pops up, by all means, reach out to me. Thank you. I did have a little speech in my thing to write up to thank our employees and our customers for a small summary reiteration of the NGF, if anybody missed that BOS meeting. But basically was thanking our staff, who are the warriors in carrying the torch and getting all our work done, and our patrons, our loyal patrons, our pass holders, as well as our outings, so that we can meet our financial obligations for the town, and still provide be a pillar in the community for everybody to enjoy. So, thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Yeah, good holiday.
You too. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Thanks.
So, Angela, you probably weren't, on board when I indicated to everybody, the cost of rehabilitating our Smithco sprayer. I got
I
that quote.
sent those emails,
Huh?
I sent emails out there.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
But anyway, the cost that MTE gave us to renovate our Smithco sprayer was approximately $72,000, parts and labor. Approximately $9,800 on labor, $61,000 and change on parts, and $100 on miscellaneous, which is probably disposable fluids or something. To me, that doesn't make much sense to do when you're looking at the cost of a brand new 300-gallon sprayer from Turk Products for $75,450. I mean, you're talking $3,000 difference.
I think the guy is nuts that give you that quote.
Well, I personally think he gave us that quote because, to be quite honest, I mean, it's just my opinion, but I'm thinking he doesn't want to do the work.
Is there anybody else out there in this nation that will do that?
I don't know, it's empty, and I've asked this for several years now because I'm not a huge fan of MTE. MTE is the licensed Smithco distributor in this part of the country. So, and I talked to the people at Smithco because I told them, well, I'll buy it from you direct. No, you have to go through that, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with getting it fixed. I mean, I don't know, I mean, you could say, you could ask Smith, I don't think Smithco's gonna take it and have it sent to their factory and have you redo something on the machine.
That's an English machine?
Smithco?
No?
No, well, it's an American-made machine, but I'm not exactly sure where. Smithco, I think, is out of Pennsylvania, I'm not sure. Still, so the Toro, the Toro is 58, they call it 5800 multi-pro, is sitting down in Enfield right now. He called me up last week and he said, he said it's down there, they're gonna start assembling it, and I said, you know, you gotta wait. So, you know, they got plenty of other stuff to assemble. So I told him we had to wait till we discussed at this meeting, and then the discussion from this meeting has to go to the Board of Selectmen before we move. And, I mean, I'm not going to try to belabor the point of the value of the machine, because this machine's not only, well, these sprayers are not only for application of pesticides, but also application of wetting agents, application of liquid fertility products. And if we're talking about continuing to bang out 36,000 rounds, we need to have two dependable machines that we can get things done, and not be out there spraying when golf balls are bouncing off the front of the machine, which is technically against the law, because golfers aren't supposed to be on the playing surface until the material dries on the leaf blade.
Right.
Which means that I have to be out there at 5 o'clock and 5:30 with two machines behind mowers, so we have that opportunity, actually behind mowers and blowers, so we don't have to spray clippings.
And the old Smithco is 12 years old.
Yes, we picked that, that was delivered in November of 2011.
And it broke down already, and we spent 8,000 or so.
Yeah, we had a problem with the back, one of the, I don't want to call it a brake shoe, because it's not what it is, but they have a rear braking system on both of the back wheels. When you get, you know, there is no brake on the machine. When you get off the machine, the brake system locks in place. Well, the problem we had was the braking system locked in place while it was being operated. And basically what that meant was that we had to take apart the cylinder leaked. We got a small kit, put it back together, it worked for about a week and a half, then it started to leak again, then we had to replace the whole part. When we called them, they said you're probably going to end up replacing the part because the kits don't normally hold. It's an intricate part with, you know, and it's better factory made than just trying to put
So right
seals.
now, it's functioning well.
Right now, it's working. I mean, the problem experiencing with it now, the controller doesn't work in what's called the master switch mode. There's a switch for each boom, and then there's a master switch that operates all three booms at the same time. The master switch isn't working. So what I have to do when I operate it is I have to manually engage and disengage
So how
the
much
three
does it
switches.
cost to fix the master switch? It sounds like we're gonna keep pouring money into this thing.
Well, that's the thing. Once they get to a certain age, that's what you do.
It's 12 years old.
And the other problem with it is when you do turn off the booms, the nozzles continue to drip. And what that means is there's a seal set up. There's 3 electric valves on the side of the machine. When you flip that switch, it sends electrical impulse to that valve to open up. And when you turn that switch off, the impulse is supposed to close it. Well, after doing that for, I don't know, 13 years, the seals and everything else inside of those electric valves are worn out. So instead of closing right away, it doesn't, and you get drip, 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 drip. And then, you know, so are you wasting a significant quantity of material? No, but you're putting material basically where you don't want it. And over time, you are going to be wasting a decent amount of material. Plus it, you know, it drips on the cart path and, you know, it looks unsightly in places. The master switch, unfortunately, again, you're 13 years old, so Raven controllers have been upgraded, so they don't make the controller that we have on the sprayer anymore. So you'd have to get a new Raven controller, which probably runs somewhere in the neighborhood I don't know, 1,500 to $2,000, depending on which one you get.
So if we decided to keep Smith Cove, we still have 2 sprayers.
You still have 2 of them, yeah, but you have one that is not, Smithco is the primary sprayer for greens, collars, and approaches. The John Deere we use primarily for fairways and tees. And the reason that being is because in certain circumstances, when we, if I need to spray greens, collars, and approaches, and we need to spray tees at the same time, both Kevin and I are out on the machines at the same time. Fairway-wise, if we're going to get them done in any reasonable amount of time, which usually is a day and a half as opposed to 3 or 4 days, then both he and I have to be out with both tanks at the same time.
If we told Toro to pass, what happens?
You're waiting another, this machine was ordered in 2023.
Right.
So you're waiting
You're
another
back in the
year,
queue.
or you're at the end of the queue. And if you'll remember, and when we decided to upgrade the John Deere, we had a Toro sprayer ordered at that time, and I told them, sorry, we're not taking it.
Right.
And they weren't too happy about that, so,
But if we go with this Toro, we still have the third, that's Smithco.
Well, Smithco's gonna get traded in.
It will get traded in?
Yeah. They'll either trade it in or they'll take it to auction. He's right now, he's got the serial number, the hours, all that good stuff. I sent him, a series of pictures, and he's working on what a trade-in value is. If they don't have a trade-in value of a certain amount, they'll take it to auction.
To Toro?
Yes.
Now, if we're gonna take it to auction and it's not operating, you're not gonna get anything for it.
Right, would it be worth keeping it as a backup, or not?
Yeah, it could be worth it, something to us to back up, but can I park it in your house? I've got no place to put it. If you can make a road from your house back into,
I walk with grill that out, for
but,
rental fee for property show?
I mean, there's no other place that we can have this one, somebody else appraise it or what it would cost to remodel to. I don't think today you're gonna get,
I
you're
do
gonna get
not,
any money downstairs.
I do not know of, I can't send it to Finch because Finch is John Deere, they're not gonna touch it.
Right.
I can't send it to Toro because they're just gonna laugh at you, they don't wanna have anything to do with it.
Who did the last one?
Huh?
Who fixed the last one? Who?
That was
remodeled?
Finch, because that was a John Deere piece of equipment.
Yeah.
So they took a John Deere piece of equipment and put a John Deere renovation parts on it.
Right.
I can't send a Smithco, Finch doesn't sell Smithco, Toro doesn't sell Smithco, AOK Turf doesn't sell Smithco. The Baroness people, who we got the little sweeper from, don't sell it. You have to go back to the Smithco distributor to get it fixed, because you're not going to get the same parts. You're just not,
It's not gonna work.
Baroness don't have a sprayer?
Huh?
Baroness, they don't make a sprayer?
I don't know, I hadn't looked into whether or not they make one or not. I talked to Bob Barrow, he didn't indicate that they did, because he was what I was actually, he's our AOK turf distributor. There's other companies out there that make sprayers that aren't brand name sprayers, but you're gonna be sitting here waiting another 12 months when you got this one sitting in front of you for, $75, $450.
The car was 13 years old. If it was 4 years old and it needed repairs, like, well, we should probably fix it, but at 13 years old, what are we?
It's just the technology's gotta be way beyond.
Oh, yeah, well, the technology's changed, but also, this is a basic sprayer. You don't wanna see what the sprayer costs with the GPS system on it. You're talking almost $100,000, 92 and change, and that doesn't count having to get the subscription for you allow you to use the GPS.
What kind of warranty is this?
Steve, let me ask you a question. When you worked for Valley Crest, how many sprays you had?
Just one.
Why we have 3?
Huh? You have 2.
No.
You want to be the honest truth? Because Valley Crest was too cheap to give me 2.
Well, and I think Acushnet is
Period.
going in that direction. They don't have any money.
It's not Acushnet that doesn't have money, Manny. We have money, and as you've heard from your National Golf Foundation people and others, you have to keep it up. If you don't wanna get it, then I'll limp along with the Smithco. But don't come to me when Pythium hits your greens and they all turn black and I've got nothing to spray with except a backpack sprayer. Or I'm sitting out there at 5 o'clock in the morning and I pull up to one green and, you know, then the machine doesn't function. I got $4,000 of material in the tank and absolutely nothing to do with it because the machine won't move.
Let me ask you, when you had one and you had that same problem, what'd you do?
What did I do? Well, I didn't do it.
So?
Why, but I never had that problem with the
But if
one,
you had,
because if you remember, Valley Crest / Environmental Golf was only here for 4.5 to 5 years. And it was a brand new sprayer at the time. And last year, when the existing John Deere sprayer went down, it went down with 3/4 of a tank of material in it, which I had to pump into the Smithco so I could spray it. If I didn't have the Smithco, then I've got, 255 gallons of hazardous waste that I can't do anything with until the sprayer gets fixed. Now, I'm not going to, I'm getting to the point now where I'm getting too old to argue. This is the smart thing to do. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, then that's fine with me, but I'll do the best I can to get by with what I've got. But this is a much smarter decision than the consequences of not moving forward on a newer piece of equipment of this type.
So what, Ed, maybe you would know, Steve, so what, say we wanna do this, what funding, like how would we afford to do it right now today? Like, do we have access to this much money left in the articles that had the equipment in there?
Well, you have one article that's got about $100,000 in it. You had a second article that was supposedly going to be offered at the last town meeting, but it wasn't put in, and it could still be used at the spring town meeting. I mean, as it is now, I wouldn't recommend, getting this until March, delivery until March or April anyway.
Right, but we'd be committing to that, so I just wanna know we'd have a
Yeah.
plan to get to it.
And plus,
My recommendation would be a 5-year lease. That way we could space it out on our budget and still keep a pot of reserve we have for whatever we need to deal with. We got 1.8 million, and we got deferred maintenance of about 2.7 million. And I think we need to keep that until we get our plan together to keep the upgrading all of the things we need to upgrade. We got $400,000 worth of cart paths that needs to be fixed. You heard National Golf Foundation said people don't want to drive on our cart paths.
Did, Steve, did you look into a lease? at all?
Yeah.
All right, what's that one?
you have two options.
Okay.
It's a dollar buyout lease that you can go a monthly payment, 12 months out of the year for 60 months. That would cost $90,720. If you did the other option, which is the same type of lease, but you make a single annual payment of $17,540, then the total cost would be $87,700 after 5 years.
And new, it's what, 78?
75.
New, it's, well, right, this price is held over for the quote.
To keep the lease, to extend it out 5 years.
I mean, this machine, properly taken care of, will last at least 10 years.
Yeah, so it goes 13, so we should get 10, I mean.
Well, I go with the lease, the second one you mentioned.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the one that, right,
One
make
year.
the annual payment and get the,
Yeah, right.
lower interest, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that people don't realize about this is, I mean, people make comments about the condition, the improved conditions of fairways and other things. Well, a portion of the improved condition of the fairways is that with the two sprayers properly functioning, we can go out there and use liquid fertility products on our fairways in the windows between granular products, which is going to extend the health. We can also get wetting agents out. We can also get other things like seaweed extracts out on the fairways, which are going to help
If you
improve
see
health.
something, get to something quick.
Yeah, and we can get it done. I mean, I was in here, you know, the days of me coming in here at 4 o'clock and spraying with the other machines so I can get the fairways done in 2 days are over. At least for me, you know, and, you know, there's just not enough, there's not enough time in the day to do that, and really, you know, it's not the safest thing in the world to do. And I can't do it on days that I'm irrigating, because the irrigation system shuts off at 4:30. So
does anyone potentially want to make a motion to go ahead with a 5-year lease on this?
I'll make that motion.
Anyone want to second that?
I'll second it.
Who seconds it? Do you have any other questions?
For the lump sum,
Yeah,
Second.
Right.
for the lump sum payment, one.
The second
Second
one.
one, yeah.
For a 5-year lease.
Yeah, it was what, 70?
87,700. 17,540 times
A
5.
month, I mean a year.
One payment.
Yeah, okay.
So we have, that has to go
Sorry.
to the.
So I guess
I'm
that's-
not voting for that.
All right, all in favor?
Sorry, no.
So let's think about aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstaining?
Aye.
You opposed or abstaining, man?
Opposed?
I oppose.
So it's 4-1.
We worked in too many things at one time. There's not enough money to do that. They wanna build a clubhouse, which is needed, is gonna go, is worse than all your sprayers, our clubhouse. And, we wanna build a new clubhouse,
They don't play golf in the
and,
clubhouse.
well, but you do the advantage, you have to book in the clubhouse, and you can make money with the clubhouse. I mean, I have my,
Like I said, man, I'm just giving you the recommendations of what you need to do to
So
keep
where do we-
yourself in
I
the
just
position
don't,
you're in to
I
go
just
better.
don't think that there's nobody out there that can replace and fix this sprayer for the same way we fixed the last one. I mean, I have stoves and stuff
See,
now that are 30 years old and that we bought brand new. And we have a mechanic that comes in and fixes when it needs to be fixed, and they still running. And down there, we have a friend, I mean, I don't know if they take care of it or not, but they got an oven over there that we bought brand new.
Man, I mean, I could buy $62,000 worth of parts and have Norm do it, and that's the only thing that he's going to be able to do the entire winter. No reels, no bearings, no seals, nothing. That's the only thing. But I don't know, see, I can go to MT, you know, I don't know. I mean, maybe you know, but I mean, I can't call up a mechanic and say, hey, guess what? Here's the sprayer, you order the parts from MTE, I'll pay for them, put it together.
I mean, it's like fixing cars and other things. It is shops all over the place. I mean, I understand. I don't know if you did a search, see if there's any of those
There's
available.
not shops all over the place to fix turf equipment. I mean, there's shops all over the place to fix cars, yeah, because cars have been something that people have been fixing for 100 years, and you've got small shops, big shops, dealerships whatsoever. You know, where do you see the turf equipment distributor or dealership? You don't.
Not on Route 6, that's.
No, it's not on Route 6, it's not on the Auto Mile, it's not any place like
Well,
that.
I just can't understand it, and I can't see it. It's-
Well, you know what? Just to answer your question, I'm going to call Emil up tomorrow and ask him if there is anybody else who can fix my Smithco sprayer besides MTE. I know what the answer's gonna be, but I will call him and I will ask him. He is the sprayer guru for Smithco, and he was the one, if you remember, when we were at a crossroads, he was the one who gave me a price on a 500-gallon sprayer, which was
Right.
85 grand.
Right.
And we didn't have, that wasn't in the works at the time, so we passed on it. But that price, he gave me the price, but in order for me to get it, he would have sent it up to them, they would have put it together, and then I would have gotten it from them, so,
So what's the next step? We need to go before the selectmen,
yes.
Oh, boy.
get them on. Get 'em on.
I'm sure Mr. Gasper and I will have an interesting conversation about this.
I got it, I'm sure.
And I know, I mean, like I said, I've got to the point now where, you know, and I've stated this before, it's not my golf course, it's the town of Acushnet's. And if you want to maintain the golf course at the position you are now and continue to generate the rounds and revenue that you're currently
Yes, one more
generating,
question.
then you have to do these
How many
things.
sprays do you have over there that,
He's got a little dinky 9-hole course. How many
Well,
acres of,
that's
how
10
many,
holes.
how many
10
acres of
holes.
fairways do you have?
10 holes.
I have no idea.
You have no idea how long
10
you lived
holes,
there.
10
I
holes.
Don't
don't
you
care how
count?
many acres there are.
Don't
I
you
know how
count?
many traps there are.
Yeah, there you go.
How many acres?
He's got 10 holes.
He's got 10 holes. I bet you I have,
27 shy of you.
I bet you could take all the tees of that course and all the green, and I'll ask Norm, because Norm used to be the superintendent over there. I bet you could take all the greens over that course and all the tees over that course, and they'd fit into the 14 fairway.
Oh,
So you're gonna tell me you have 156,000 square feet of greens and tees?
I don't know what we have.
John, come on, you
Well,
work there, John.
Yeah, I don't measure, I cut, I dig holes. What else, I clean up, I drive equipment.
Speaking of digging holes and cleaning up, so the bunker RFP, we finally got that out and back in and got prices on that?
Yes, we had one bid on the bunker RFP. That came from
Is that from Don?
Weed and Feed slash DHT Golf Services. That bid, the total base bid for holes 6, 7, and 10 was $137,000. The what they called add alternate, which would have been the third hole, was $53,000.
200,000
So the total, if you were to do everything, $200,000.
for 4 bunkers.
For,
You did such a nice job on two. Maybe you can, do
no,
a demo.
Dan did all the shaping, all we did was, you know, we helped a little bit. Dan did, you know, with, you know, and the DPW did the cleanup and the shaping.
Can the PW help us in shaping
We
those?
can't keep guys over there either. We
No.
can't keep guys over there either.
You know, and this is, and I, you know, it was slightly higher than I thought it would come in at,
Slightly.
but, well, man, you know what? I mean,
Easy.
I wanna take all you guys, and I'm going to send you out to different golf courses. I'm gonna send you down to the folks that I just talked with down at the Cape about how much their project costs. And because golf projects are expensive, just like anything else this day and age. And one of the reasons ours is so expensive is because of that wonderful thing called prevailing wage.
You're right, and I agree 100% with that.
And there's not a bloody thing we can do about it.
Right.
That's a killer,
It's a killer.
it is.
And, I mean, again,
Unless we can get the DPW to help us.
that, I'm not going there.
Yeah, right.
Because the reason I'm not is because in order to do something like that, we have to stop throwing out, the DPW can help here, the DPW can help there. We have to go sit down with the Board of Selectmen and get a clear understanding of their ability to assist in any circumstance.
Correct.
Once we get that, then we can go to the person who runs the DPW and ask if we can fit in his schedule somewhere. Because the man is very busy, he gets pulled in 15 different directions, and like Andrew said, he can't get nobody to work for him neither. So I can't commit to them, and I'm not going to impose on them until I get better direction about how exactly that's supposed to work. And
Well, that's a good idea that we find that out.
because I don't know. And every time, I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there in TV land watching this right now, screaming at the TV that the DPW can't help you because you're an enterprise fund, blah, 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 blah. So, I'm not going to, you know, I don't want to get in the middle of that. I want somebody to tell me how that's supposed to work before we try to move forward in that direction. And again, if you don't want to do the bunker work, that's fine. I
And
mean,
we want to do it, but we can't figure out how to do it.
So So 6, 7, and 10 were bid all as like one.
6, 7, and 10 were built together. I talked to the architect, and I talked to other contractors, and they said, listen, I said, you're going to want to present this or as part 1 and part 2. You divide it all up like that, and I'm going to charge you more for, what do they call that?
Is that just the green side bunkers?
Huh?
So 7 and 10, just the green
There's
side?
one bunker on the right-hand side of 6. There's the green side bunker on the right-hand side of 7.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
the 10th hole, which is the 2 bunkers, plus the approach is going to be widened and pushed to the right side,
Okay.
and so on. And then there's that whole waste bunker thing down there on the 3rd hole.
Yeah, right.
And again, these are things that, you know, if you go up, yes, we did a decent job on the 2nd hole. But if you go up and you stand on the 2nd hole and you look at where the collar comes out and you look how that breaks, there isn't a smooth transition there.
Right.
If you want to have a properly shaped bunker, green, whatever, you need a guy who can shape. And this guy has shaped for 40 years. So, and most of the guys, I mean, you just did a great
Who just-
project
yeah.
over the country
Can we
club.
hire him to
Yeah,
shape?
they're doing.
Who's doing
Yeah,
that?
They're gonna
and,
do some more.
and Drake did that. I bet you the job that he did over there just for you guys cost less than this. Because he didn't, you guys, they didn't have to pay prevailing wage.
Did we redo number 7 a while back?
Number 7, no, we
On
did
the right?
all we did on the left-hand side of 7 was fill in the
Yeah,
bunker.
but
There used
we
to be a-
didn't have anybody out there
Yeah, you
doing
got rid of
number
the waste
7 on the
area,
right.
maybe.
I could have sworn there was somebody
No.
there, a shaper or something.
No, we didn't do anything to the
Well, we
right
did
side bunker
10,
of the
we
7th
did
hole.
10, We did 18.
It just looks
No, I
different now.
remember that.
It just looks different because of what they did on.
Yeah, I
the-
know,
What
yeah.
did we pay for the 18 bunker?
10,000.
It's a lot more than $200,000 for 4 bunkers.
The reason you paid that amount is because Brian Noble sat there and said, if you can do it for less than 10 grand, you can do it.
And we said, yes.
And what we did, and I went to Dan and Tibbetts, and who was the shaper, and he said, yeah, I can shape, but that's the only thing I'm gonna do. I don't get out of the machine.
Yeah.
So it was him and the machine. It was our labor and our machines
Can
that
we do-
transported
can we do
material.
that?
I don't have the labor to do it. I'm
Oh,
I'm
for
telling
that kind of
you.
money,
Do you
you
want,
can-
I mean,
you
I'll
can hire
take,
private
John can
people.
come over and help with the labor.
Sure.
John is younger than 3/4 of the guys on my staff that are
I don't know
full-time.
about that, but.
I don't know, are you 80 years old yet?
No, I'm getting there though.
So, but,
For that kind of money, we can buy you a nice little excavator and hire a couple of more people, and
Well,
you
that's the
keep
problem, we need to hire more
Yeah, but
people.
Steve,
a few more people, and
Yes,
with that
but-
$200,000.
I can dig a hole, but that's not what you want. I mean, I can, I can do drainage and irrigation all the time, but no, I'm not I'm not a guy who can sit there and feather
Oh,
and
I
run a
remember you
machine
saying
like
it,
that.
I would love to have a back, or an excavator, I could do a lot of things, well, that's just one of the.
How many years ago was that?
Oh,
Man, I can barely walk right now because
Me
of the
too.
problem with my knee and my
that
ankle.
makes 3.
So, it makes
Me too.
3 of us. So
I have two built.
if you want, the fact of the matter is, if you want the golf course construction work to be done so it fits in and melds with the rest of your golf course and looks like it belongs there, you need professionals to do it this day and age. Because we go out there, we try to do that project, it's going to take us 2 to 3 times as long, and all you're going to have is a significant number of pissed off golfers because you've got construction all over the place, and they can't play around the golf without being interfered with. That's the long and the short of it. So if you think that price is too high, and you don't think we can afford it, then we won't do it. And then, then you just have to deal with the consequences later on, because at some point you are going to have to do it. And believe me, this time next year, it's going to cost more than that. And it's going to cost more than that, and it's going to cost more than that.
Yeah, gonna be the tariffs, that gonna be imposing on materials and everything, it will cost all that kind of money.
But
Make it.
that's what it is, we went
I mean,
through,
we all can voice our opinions, I'm just
yeah.
one here that, I think that's estimate,
Expensive.
very expensive, out of our.
Well, nobody else was interested in it.
Yeah, that's a problem right there.
Well, no, a lot of times, first of all, it might be too small of a project for people right now, because they've got business coming out of their, you know what.
Yeah.
The second thing is, there is a lot of people out there who do not want to do public work, or bid on
You're
public
right.
work.
I agree with
I mean,
that.
the guy who was, MMP Golf, who, what's his name, Drake, the guy who just did the work over there, he could have easily bid on it, didn't want, didn't want to touch it,
On us,
on ours.
you didn't wanna deal with it.
And the other reason why
He's
this
been
guy
quite a
does,
few ones over
boy, this
there.
guy does a lot, and gets a lot of them, is because he's done them before, and he knows how to fill out the paperwork appropriately. There's 2 or 3 guys who don't know how to do the paperwork for municipal bids, so they don't bother to do it. This guy has done a significant amount of work, over the 35, 40 some odd years he's been in business.
Let me do a scenario, ask a question. If this was done at a private course, what do you think the adjustment of money would be from there to there? I'm just curious.
I think you probably could shave about, 17 to $20,000 off that price. I mean, I didn't look over the prevailing wage list
Yeah,
completely,
well,
and I don't wanna waste our time,
No.
but top of the prevailing wage list, the first thing on there said, a 2-axle operator, whatever the hell that is. $65 an hour, that's the pay. Then you have the Medicare and the insurance parts. So by the time you were done, that guy sitting on that machine is a 2-axle driver, whatever that is, $78 an hour prevailing wage.
Like the 10-wheel dump trucks, 2-axle.
Yeah, it operates.
So the regular Joe
Oh, yeah.
makes
It's insane.
50.
It's insane. So, I mean, that's what it is.
Right now, we don't have $137,000, right?
Well, you've got $100,000 in an article, and you could, do an article that, I'm just,
When you said that it came in,
We have the reserve, 100,000.
so Steve, you made the comment that it came in a little bit higher than you thought.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying, because I know we did discuss this quite months ago now, like, what were we thinking, like, 6, 7, and 10 were gonna be?
I was thinking you're probably going to be in the neighborhood about 110, 115. That, not knowing the cost of materials, not really having any clue about, nowadays it usually costs between, with prevailing wage, $20,000 to $30,000,
And him being the only one that bid, he can't even sharpen his pencil. There's no reason to.
Well, I'm sure, he's a very reasonable person. He's done, like I said, he's done extensive work. Well, man, he ain't gonna cheap himself. I wouldn't come to your establishment and expect you to give me a subpar price on the quality of food that you provide. I expect to pay a decent amount of money for your stuff.
No, we're market, everybody else is about the same thing.
The bunkers are important though. I mean, I play decent amount of golf, so do you, and the bunkers, the looks, and you don't wanna hit the pebbles, you wanna have nice, you wanna get consistency out of the bunkers, so I mean, that's.
Yeah, at some point, you're going to have to address it. So if you don't address it
How
now,
long is this quote good for?
Make them grass.
I'm going to say,
No, it's the Hawthorne Medical.
week 53, that's bunk schedule of values. You can see the whole, the pricing structure right there.
The third day quote.
AC pipe. Contract time shall be within 5 weeks of commencement. Work can commence in the spring anytime after 31st March and/or be complete by 27th June, or start anytime after 18.
So we can do it in the spring.
You can do it in the spring, or you can do it in the fall. He would do it,
And what's the timeline?
well, his final completion date would have been in November. See, I don't have the whole, I mean, when Tanya made the copies,
So we got a year.
there's a page missing. I mean, I'll call Dan and I can add, I mean, bids should be cumulative total for scheduled values 1 to 18. Upon notification, acceptance of the bid. Yeah, I mean, I can call him and ask him. I mean, he called me up Monday and asked me, you know, how things are going, because, of course, huh?
Do you mind, can I go to those few pages for a second?
Actually, I had a copy here for you somewhere. Actually, you could probably take this one, and I've got another copy, I think I left it sitting on your desk. But Tanya made 2 copies, and one was for you and one was for me.
All right, so it comes back down to when you wanna do this. You know, the spring's kinda like a busy time, the fall's kinda like.
Well, he said if he
like-
done,
We're not gonna do any car paths in the spring, I can tell you that.
Well, so what's gonna, like where you are, I mean, they did all the fall work, all that work is done in the fall. They didn't dare do it in the beginning
Well,
of the
they
year.
also have to full ball to a test, so
Yeah,
they can't do anything.
well, that's the
That-
thing,
that's
they
not-
had
that's not
proposed
the-
it to do it before the 4
It's
ball.
not
and they
the
said,
only,
no.
only reason, yeah, but anyways, yeah, it's just that you don't
Yeah,
wanna
we had a
start.
meeting last week, Tuesday.
Yeah. I don't think you wanna start with that, I'd rather end with it.
Yeah, I mean, you could, I mean, I'll ask him, but he had 2, because he had 2 timeframes in there, and I think the other was completion around the 15th or the 29th of November.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because we gave them in
So we can
the,
go for
bid documents.
more funding if we need to.
yeah, well, I mean, if you know, and this, again, this is an opportunity, you know, because the selectmen have come back to us on occasion and said that your articles are too broad and not exact. Well, you can give them an exact number, you know, if you went, because if I remember right, we initially put in an article and they cut it in half to 250.
They did.
So, and then 250, you could list there what were the
Right.
important things to do. And
This-
again, I'm just bringing this to your attention because those are the particular holes that need the most attention bunker-wise. If we do it, we do it, we don't do it, we don't do it. That's up to you folks. I mean, if you think it's too expensive, you could try to go out again. I don't think you're gonna get any different responses, but who knows, you could.
Prevailing wage is curious.
Well, that's
Yeah,
it.
prevailing wage, and then it's just what
Can't
that
get
guy
away
wants to
from
make
that.
on top of it.
Yeah.
So-
There's no way
It's gonna
you,
get worse.
the only way is to use what we have used in the past, and how long that's gonna last.
Right.
How long, if one eleven is never gonna get approved, that, you know, and there is, quote, maybe some time where they can do something like that. You know, in the past, we've been very, very lucky with that, with Dan and his people, very lucky.
Yeah, but his time is usually June, when he's out of his budget and he can't do any
Well,
of his construction.
he's told me that if we needed, you know, things done, depending on what the winter weather is,
Right.
this is the best time for him to be able to help with things.
Now,
Now,
yeah, well.
because again, like Andrew was alluding to, he's getting closer to the end of the budget.
Right,
You don't wanna run it out, you
right.
know, and he can come and do work, and, you know, we would pay, you know, the payroll for the
Right.
work done,
Right.
as we did down on 8, you know, and materials and stuff. But again, you know, that's something that needs to be clarified by the selectmen and then discussed.
I just
I think that's the avenue that we should chase, is that one. That we should go and see if we can talk to the selectmen and have him arrange that we probably can get some time from.
How long do you think this project would take?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Well, you have a
Because he-
professional just told you that it was going
3
to take
months.
him
Right,
3 months.
3 months.
so,
You know, you're gonna finish one whole move, he's not going to go out and do
All 3 at once.
all 3 at once.
So my thing would be have it done in the fall.
Fall, yeah.
In the fall.
And again, that's a professional that's telling you, I mean, you know, that's the other thing, he's going to have other projects lined up, but the other thing about that is, you know, he's not going to not show up. Well, he's not going to have an emergency
Or water break.
water main break in town and be gone for a week and a half, to 2 weeks. Or he's not gonna have somebody breathing down his neck saying, you can't work over there.
But-
Go back, Dave, to the price, I mean, it's up there, but then on the other hand, I look at all the money we have not accumulated, but saved because of the DPW
Over time, right.
over all those years. So does that give us some flexibility with this? You know what I mean? Does it balance itself out somewhat, or are we ahead of the game because of the DPW, all the work we've done? I would think we are.
I don't see how we couldn't be ahead of the game, from what we've gotten in the past.
That's right.
Just looking at that quickly, I mean, real quick math, there's almost $100,000 worth of material there, of material in, material out, or just plain labor moving stuff, so then, not that it's not a lot, but then it's the other 37 is the equipment and the labor.
Oh, yeah.
So no matter who does it, you're looking at $100,000 worth of material at that pricing regardless.
Yeah, and then there are certain, depending on when they do it, there are certain things that we could help with, laying sod if we wanted to, but then once you go through this process, and it's a turnkey with them, they're not going to want you doing any work with them. Yeah.
No, that's their project.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that with them, but not with them. So where do we go? We gotta put it on hold, so we can figure out how to do it.
Well, I have to call Dan and ask him how long he's gonna hold that, how long he would hold that pricing structure. It's not gonna be too much further than the time that he said he was gonna
Next
finish in
fall.
the spring.
Well, we'll have an answer by, we better have an answer by then.
So we should consider a special article specifically for this work.
Or if we have several things lined up, but didn't have them lined up, I kind of like exactly say.
Itemized it.
Right, so instead of saying, I was making this up, $250,000 for work, it's $137,000 for this, it's
Right.
$22,000 for that. It's one-
Right. Or specific in article to repair bunkers for $137,000.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I'm saying, but if we had a couple things that we come across, like, if we wanted to do car paths, and we know we need $25,000 worth of asphalt, like we're
Right.
saying, we put it all into one, and still just kind of itemize exactly where that total came from.
But it looks like we'll be moving towards a special town meeting article in the spring.
Right, we'd have to, or, I mean, if it's at the same, right, a special article, maybe not a special town meeting, but a special article, or a separate
Right.
article, I should say, at town meeting,
At town.
which, right, by not having the time frame of this past fall to get anything submitted, and only having 2 town meetings a year, unfortunately, we
Right.
didn't have the opportunity to
So it'll be
keep
the
that money
spring,
aside for this,
spring town meeting.
be able to fund it. It would be good to know who we could, one, how long is it gonna hold this pricing for? 2, you never know until they take the vote, are we going to have the backing of the selectmen to do this project if we wanted to, right? Because we don't want to say, yeah, Don, we wanna do it, we just need to wait till town meeting to officially have the funding, to then give you the official go-ahead to do this work in the fall, if between now and then we're not gonna have support from the other powers that be, getting this done. So it's, but at least now that we have this, I think we can go to them and say, okay, this would be something that would go specifically on an article coming up, at the annual town meeting.
So when would we do that? Next round of budgets?
Probably right as we're going into budget stuff now, right, I would think, or, I don't wanna wait too long, we gotta,
I know, that's what, we need to, do we need to put it on the Board of Selectmen's agenda?
I would say so, especially since we have the actual bid, I think so, yes.
Next meeting, the 17th, I believe.
I don't know how much
Right.
we want to tackle for the 17th.
Yeah. But I mean, even if it doesn't necessarily have to be in a week, but I think within the next couple of meetings, if we can ask them, through Jamie or whoever, say what would be a good meeting in the next couple of months coming up, to put this on there for them to look at. and
Then
say,
when
here it is.
we had the bid opening, he said the 3rd and the 17th.
Okay, so,
Obviously, the third was far too short in time, so, but I will ask him again, release.
yeah, they'll take us on the 17th, and obviously, we're not even asking for a vote, it's more just to present the bid offering to them and saying, at this point, we won't be able to fund it until the spring town meeting, but do we at least in theory have their support for doing so? And then we can talk with Dallin and say, this is the path we wanna go, I think, but we couldn't tell you officially until the funding's in hand.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess that's the route for that. So emergency access at hole number 8, I know you sent an email out about.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring this up to everybody's attention. When part of the work to redo the car path down in that hole was to provide that type of access. So if we did have an emergency down there on 7th green, 8th hole, 10th green, 11th, we could come right through that back entrance. So, well, right now, there's a bunch of rocks in there. And the only way you're gonna get anybody in there, other than push a gurney down there by hand, is to have somebody on call with a machine and come running down there and move it.
It's not gonna work.
Which isn't gonna work. So my thought was to consider putting up a gate on our property. Now, I'm not going to stir a pot, but when we had that surveyed, the property corner for our property was on the other side of that street, or that entryway. Surveyor didn't put it in because he didn't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. He and I talked about it, and I said, it's not necessary to do that, we just know where this is. So he didn't put in that corner.
Right.
So, and really, I can't see why we'd have a significant argument from the neighbor, just because the gate is actually going to keep out, it'll keep golf carts over here. I think before the rocks were even put in there, somebody happened to drive down his road with a golf cart, probably, rightfully so, irritated the man, so, but obviously, we can put any type of gate we want to on our property. So, it wouldn't be it'd basically kind of be similar to the front gate. You can even make it look like a farm gate. It's just a question of having something like that there, so if an emergency vehicle does have to come down, they can come right through. That's
Because
going.
the man doesn't have the right to that piece of land, right? that street.
I don't believe so, no. That's something that would have to be questioned through the assessors and get that squared out. It may have to get the whole thing surveyed just to make sure where it all is.
So we can add a gate somewhere.
Yeah, what you're,
Other rocks.
yeah, there's, if you look at that
Take the rocks
exit,
out.
there's the right-hand side.
Yeah.
It goes up in the slope, so you could come off of those rocks by about, I'd say 4 or 5 feet anyway, and you're definitely on your property. You dead end the gate into the slope, and then you bring the gate across, and you dead end it into the other slope. I've got some, I'm not going to mention it, but I have some questions about where the property line is down there on that hole in relation to the appearance of certain aspects of that hole. So we can, and again, it's not anything obtrusive, it's just something there that functions to keep people off of his property, but also allows an emergency vehicle to come down through there and have significantly better access than it would have if it had to go through the parking lot, come down the 9th hole or something like that. And it does provide access, you could drive the emergency vehicle all the way, to the 7th green, you could drive to the 10th green, you could drive all the way over to the 11th tee or the 11th green. Without any problem.
I thought that when we decided to come in through there, and the guy across the street opposed a little bit about that being open, that we were gonna make a normal street, entrance from there. But if we.
I don't know, this was, I initially, when we were initially doing the work, I had spoken to, Selectman Gasper about it, and actually he came up with the original idea of making maintaining that open, so we did have emergency access, we had a problem.
Yeah,
But I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention, because right now there is no access. So-
because I've heard something that the people, that own the pond, they blocked off that street, that right of way, or whatever you wanna call it. And, but we just have to ask the town who that
Yeah,
belongs to.
So we wanna make a motion to add a gate?
I think someone else, I think that makes sense, we should do that, just get the rocks out
I'll
there.
make that motion.
Yeah, I second them.
Aye.
All right, all in favor?
We'll take
Stevie, you
that
get rid of the rocks
capital.
and crap, or do we need somebody to do that?
no, we could probably move the rocks with our machine. If I mean, I'll look at them again, I mean, ours, if not, you know, we could move them so they're not
In a way.
impeding putting in a gate at some point when it's decided to be done, and then,
You need help, he lives right around the corner, so.
I don't know what I'm gonna be.
All right, so that goes into, talk about it a little bit anyway, the FY '26 budget and maintenance of first.
yeah, if you look in the packet that I gave you, there's a budget, there's a page there that says FY 2026 golf course maintenance budget.
So you guys will put that together.
Yeah, but I just wanted to point out that the you know, again, I was, my brain dead when I did this. The first column, which says FY '24, is actually the FY '25 budget that we're currently operating in. The column that says FY '25 is what I'm proposing for a budget for FY '26. And those are actual numbers that I'm proposing for a budget. And just in generally speaking, costs for FY 2026 will be increasing anywhere from 2 to 5%. Fringe benefits, I just estimated at a 7% increase in the insurance. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but that's the figure that I used, just to give us some idea. R&M irrigation, our system is getting older, and each year when we charge up, we're running into more and more issues that are costing a little bit more money. So we had an increase, it looks like a big increase, but it's only $1,500. The other thing that's the largest increase is probably going to be in safety and training. We have newer employees now, and I'm in the past, I haven't upgraded or changed the safety program for quite some time. The town had a representative from, I believe it was the insurance company, come by. They happened to stop by our building. They had a question on a couple of things, nothing significant, but I thought we should take the opportunity to upgrade the system, or what we have for the safety program. There's one sheet, the following sheet after the budget is a sheet that describes what's offered by a company called Golf Safety, who does safety programs specifically for golf courses. We won't go through that now, it's just something that you can read through. They have a website, you can go to the website, and they have a little tutorial that explains their company and what they do. The interesting thing about their company, not only do they offer all the services listed there, but they have videos which are specifically oriented towards golf course maintenance, golf course equipment.
Do they have the video of the guy being clubbed to death with his own club down in Florida?
No, I didn't
see that?
No.
Oh, yeah. The guy got, he wasn't even playing. He was just somebody that was walking around towards the course. Something happened. He went over, took the club out of the guy's bag and killed him.
Jesus Christ.
Then he threw him into the pond, right? And then he thought he wasn't dead, so he added a little extra and drowned him.
Jesus.
So this thing, I'm reading this thing here about active shooter Olympic golf.
Well, I think that's something they put into the budget.
Well, there's a lot more incidences on golf courses like that have happened.
What about this guy they got him in New York there?
Oh, the guy from, the food company, yeah. I saw that, got shot in the back.
Got shot in the back.
Oh, that.
Now they think he's in the hospital, the guy.
All right.
Put a picture without the mask.
I saw that, yeah.
So those are the numbers in that, those are the numbers that I'm proposing for FY 2026. There is one question in regard to a salary question for the assistant's position, which has yet to be answered.
Still not.
I'm just the employee reporting, that's all. So I've been informed that was going to be discussed and a decision was going to be made one way or the other, but that was about a month and a half ago, so I haven't heard anything.
Where was the decision coming from?
I believe it was gonna come from the Board of Selectmen.
Did
They
we,
already met with the union?
This discussion came subsequent to the meeting we had with the union 2 meetings ago.
did we put some kind of guideline on what we were looking for him?
Yeah.
And they haven't come back with anything?
No,
And that was a while ago.
yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yep. It's not because we haven't been mentioned and talking to it.
Well, probably, Andy, you're most likely correct.
They just can't get along, that's it.
So, like I said, those are the budget numbers I was proposing, so if we can.
Incorporates that in with his, we'll have the whole thing.
Yeah, I can take those numbers and I can print the numbers that, I was just a little bit confused as to which numbers were
Yeah.
his.
Right.
Or are they the numbers in this column here, or are they the numbers
Yeah,
in
there's no
this?
dates or anything.
Right.
Right.
Very,
Because I think it's
24 to
I
25?
think that's already the current number right there.
This is the current numbers, yes,
There's
right now.
no,
no indication,
But then
no.
that's the
dates,
difference
right?
between those two, so I don't even know what.
Like years?
Yeah, there's no proposed numbers.
no, there's no years in that one.
No, he doesn't have, there's no proposed.
Maybe he forgot.
That's good, there's nothing really like sticking out on your side, just the normal cost of business going forward.
Yeah. And like I said, I think everybody's been, the price of goods have gone up, everybody knows the price of all goods have gone up. And I think, again, material-wise and stuff, that's just reflected in the distributors and what they're passing on to us.
When we did fairway aeration, just the sand was close to 10 grand for 9 holes, 10 holes. Yep, just the sand.
Yeah, did he dust them, or did you put a,
Oh, no, they did a real, they came through with.
Well, the sand was only 10 grand, tractor trailer loads 2 grand, so you only got 5 tractor trailers?
Well, I guess, yeah, they kept on bringing it and bringing it and bringing it. They had some two huge hoppers that they put it down with.
Yeah.
As big as this room,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
it's called if there was a tow behind the tractor, it's called CR10. Yeah.
So
Did
father
Alan Vidal do that?
and son team?
Yeah, Alan Vidal did
Yeah,
that.
yeah, they're real good.
Yeah, Alan's a good guy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to see the bill of top dress these fairways.
No, I don't, just from the sand, I know,
I'd like to be able to do it. It's a great thing to do, but
Last time it was done there was 15 years ago. Didn't have the money.
Employee
yeah.
benefits, which I know that this keeps coming up.
The problem is,
You need something from this building.
basic, and
that maybe-
I had a visit from Selectman Hinckley on, was it Monday, Tuesday? One of those 2 days. He and I had a very good discussion on this. He said he would be addressing it. It's basically, to put it in a nutshell, when golf course employees went from, at least golf course maintenance employees, when they went from Valley Crest employees to Town of Acushnet employees, I sat down with Alan Catino, and Alan Catino explained to me, you know, we talked about equipment and other things. And he explained to me, the question of benefits came up, and the benefits for full-time golf course maintenance employees are supposed to be the same benefits afforded to any other full-time town employee. And that is the way it worked without any question through, up until we got to the point of the last three or, you know, actually the last 5 years or so, when we bring in this, the new payroll system, and, you know, all the, I mean, in the time I've been here, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 staff people in town hall that are still here from the time I started working here in 2001.
Robert Henry.
They're all gone. But anyway, the I don't know if it's a complaint or what, but there wasn't anything written down. So they needed something signed. So I went back and I took, you know, a couple years ago, because if I want to interview Andrew, I can't tell Andrew what his benefits are as a full-time employee, which is kind of odd, because that's one of the first questions I'd ask as an employee looking for employment. So I put this down. I put down the holidays, the vacation time. The vacation time has been that way since I've been here. Sick time, personal days, bereavement, you know, the retirement program, eligibility for group health insurance. The only thing that's not on here is, what do they call it, longevity. There is a format for longevity. I don't remember it off the top of my head. But this basically involves, currently it involves 3, maybe 4 people. 3 people in my department, and I think probably would apply to Isaac, because I think Isaac opted out of the union. The union, you know, and this is basically what is in the USW contract for supervisory personnel. So I'm at a loss as to why we can't get it done, but until, you know, there's a magic signature on a piece of paper somewhere, the Treasury Department will not do anything, and accruals are not showing up on these people's pay stubs and so on. So I don't know, I mean, I can't do it, I don't know who needs to do it, but we need to have something done so they're receiving the appropriate benefits at the appropriate time.
And they keep a track of them at least?
Well, I would assume so, because it's, you know, it would be kept track of through the payroll system. But the problem is now, of course, you don't get a paycheck anymore, you don't get to see it. You have to go online through the employee portal and look at your W-4 or whatever it is. And they have done that, and there is not any accrual for any of those benefits.
Yeah.
So that needs to be addressed, and once it's addressed, it needs to be retro back to where it's, you know, where and when it's supposed to be.
So you expressed that to Selectman Hinckley?
Yes. And, you know, he and I had I mean, he's was amiss as to why this hadn't been done in the past. And everybody was talking, when people started asking me about, well, where's their written agreements? Well, nobody had a written agreement. The only person who had a written agreement initially was me, and it was called a contract.
So anyone that ever got hired here never came up with some kind of proposal, like, never?
No. When I got hired here, I was given an old dot matrix printout.
Yeah.
And it had the vacation stuff, it had everything in it, and it also had, at the time, the current policies, you know, sexual harassment, all that kind of stuff. Now, the current packets that come out don't have that information. They have the, you know, the town policy, sexual harassment, so on and so forth. Your W-4, your state W-4, why, you know, because you're a municipal employee, you don't contribute to Social Security and all that good stuff. But it's, again, it's not written down anywhere, and I may be mistaken, but I believe the golf course employees are the only employees in the town of Acushnet who are not unionized. You have the ASME union, which takes care of town hall employees. You have a separate union for the rank and file, or the rank and file of the police department, you have a separate union for the rank and file of the fire department, I believe. And then you have a separate union for the DPW employees, other than Dan. The employees who work under, who work for DPW. And I think I think the workers at the library, if they're full-time, I don't know if there's more than one or two. If they are, they probably work under the ASME contract.
What about, park commission?
Park, same thing, but I think the only person who's full-time is the head.
Just Chad, right?
Yeah, because Mike Ashley works for the park department, but he only works part-time.
Right,
So unless you reach a certain number of hours, the benefits don't apply,
right.
except for the retirement. They always take the retirement out and check the megawatts.
So for
And
now,
if you're part-time, it goes into something called Bencor.
Yes.
So that's where we stand with employee benefits.
so essentially, right, so they're not given contracts, fine, but this absolutely shouldn't be something that an employee should be consistent, and they should be able to, like you said, be able to give this to them.
Yeah.
And presumably, it needs the blessing of the selectmen, for lack of a better term. So I mean, if Mr. Hinckley is on board and we're doing this, I think, it's just a handful of employees that don't fall into some other already defined bucket. I think we need to request that, basically this right here, which mirrors the union
Yeah.
contract anyway, just becomes the standard, so when somebody is hired full-time that would fall into the individual category, this can go right there with them, so everybody knows what to expect. And payroll knows exactly what to
Well,
accrue.
those should come in that packet, right? Yeah.
Right, there should be no question as to what they need to accrue, here it is, this is what's approved by the town.
I think
It's
most
the same as
places
everybody else.
have that. You have that.
Well, it's
You
pretty
have a
much-
packet, right?
Pretty much assume. This
This is what you get, this is what you,
Yeah.
you know,
You
this
know,
is what.
it seems like it was happening, whether
I
it
got
was
one
not,
kid
under
now.
Al Patino.
Yeah, it was happening, I mean, it happened under Alan, it happened under,
Brian.
Brian
Tell me
Copeland.
what
It happened
So
under
many
Julie.
hours work,
And then all of a
so
sudden,
much a sick time.
Oh, yeah.
so,
A lot of exchanges of that, so.
If I work 8 hours, I get an hour.
So I think,
Sick time.
Yeah.
so, how do
Every
we,
8 hours, I get an hour.
Yeah,
how do
you
we
see, I
request
see-
clarification?
And this
Was
kid
Bob
keeps
expecting
on
something
tracking
from
them.
us, do you know?
Oh, yeah.
Or was
So he
it-
said, I'm taking
I don't know, I think we
He's
should,
not
I don't
sick,
think he
he
was
should-
expecting something from us after he and I discussed this.
You
The
can't-
basic gist of the conversation was,
can't
I
take
mean,
the sick
he was coming
leave.
right down to town hall
tell you.
after he spoke with me. And he said, he said, I'm gonna go down there now, and we're gonna, I'm gonna just tell him to do this. So, but
Hopefully that's gonna happen, or even if it just needs.
I'm gonna have to get
vote
back,
on it.
we're gonna have to get back in touch and find out exactly where we stand with this.
Alright. Yeah. Aeration and maintenance Mondays.
Yeah, I provided that schedule to let people know what I had planned for aeration, and also the days that I would request for maintenance Mondays. Hopefully I didn't make any mistakes and put them on holidays,
Oh, I got,
and chucked me twice.
I got a few.
Oh,
The very
Patriots
first
Day.
one is Patriots Day. If I could just jump into that real quick.
You're much
Steve.
better than me. I'm not used to having holidays off,
Well,
so.
you won't, you just leave this one right here. So,
Oh, this for 25?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so the couple things that I would say based on the proposed maintenance Monday, which I kind of start by saying, I think it's a good idea of being able to take use of this time and get things done. But April 21st is Patriots Day.
So that's an hour.
Next one, you got June 30th and July 7th, so that's 2 Mondays in a row, the Monday before and Monday after July 4th. So this seems like taking.
was that
2
June, no, I have June 9th and June 30th.
Right, but then you have July 7th. So June 30th and July 7th are 2 Mondays in a row, right on either side of the July 4th holiday. So my question is, do we need to be closed 2 Mondays, not closed, but closed open late 2 Mondays in a row?
Well, the reason I spaced out June like that is because I went back and I checked the June outing schedule for 2024, and there were no outings on those 2 Mondays. Other than that, there was an
Right.
outing on the other Mondays in June.
Right, but the same, but then it just backs into 2 Mondays in a row,
I mean, you could,
right around July 4th.
if if we had to, we could probably, probably go without the June 30th and keep the July 7th, because we have an aeration activity supply, potentially scheduled for the 7th.
And I don't think if people would,
That's for July weekend.
yeah.
So we're killing It's one in April and one in June.
No, well, Patriots Day has to be changed, we're not killing it, I have to pick up another day. And then the 30th, we're gonna keep the 9th and probably eliminate the 30th. And
then September 1st is a Labor Day.
like I said, I haven't had holidays off my entire life. I work every one of them except Christmas and New Year's, so. September 1st is Labor Day?
Yes. First Monday in September, every year.
Yeah, I know.
That's early.
Boy, that's early, isn't it?
Can't be any earlier.
Really.
So we'll change that.
November's wide open.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, all the activities need to.
January. Put 'em there.
So that's there for people's information. It indicates the day, the activities that would occur. We do have fairway aeration scheduled for Monday the 4th and Tuesday the 5th of August. That's, I got, once those dates were penciled in, I gave those to Isaac, and he had put them on the schedule up there, so we should be good with that. The Greens Deep Time is coming in October, on the 6th of October, a little bit later in the year. Unfortunately, we couldn't, and that's the only day we could really get in there, but I don't mind that early slot in October. And then the dry jack, I just don't know what I'm gonna be able to do with that, if anything. I think the contractor's a little TO'd at me because he hasn't returned text, phone calls, or emails. He keeps on sending me an invoice that says I owe him $14,000, and I said, there's no way in God's green that I'm paying that as a cancellation fee. So, stick it where the sun doesn't shine.
Boy.
I'm not, I mean, it's ridiculous.
No, I think this is good to have this planned out like this, like way in advance, so hopefully there's no chance that tea time start getting booked up on top of these.
Well, that's the thing, I mean, if we know it in advance, and obviously if weather changes, then I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to change with the weather and make do. But at least it's out there, it can be put on a schedule, people can see it, and, a lot of people, there's a portion of people say, oh, well, greens are aerated and I can't play, Heaven forbid that, there'd be 5,000 little 1/4-inch holes in there that don't affect ball roll whatsoever.
20 years ago, you could get away with saying that. Now it's totally different. It doesn't take
Yeah,
that
Big
long.
plugs they used to be, but.
It doesn't, it affects it, but, it doesn't, the cure of it doesn't take as long as it used to.
No.
Did you see what they did to the girls' pool ball this year at the country club?
No.
After,
Oh, yeah.
they aerated,
Yeah, they aerated.
they aerated all the greens.
All
They
the
made a
collars.
hole like there, the collars, and then where the hole, the flag was, that area was not punched. But all the.
Oh, he did the collars, he did the
Yeah.
perimeter cuts, yeah, probably because they were barking out with the triplex cut and the extra wear. I've aerated collars and what they call cleanup passes, once or twice during the course of the year, but not before the blades. Blades become better.
I mean, it was just,
That's tough.
that as they playing, they
Are
was
they
still doing.
playing? No,
Yeah, really.
It's,
Yeah.
that's Neil.
Can't tell them what to do.
What else? we got out here?
All right, so then we get.
Aeration, clubhouse, oh yeah, that's an important one.
So the clubhouse RFP, so we all unanimously ranked on Catalyst the highest of the three. So I reached out to Kurt, the gentleman who was here that night from them. He was very happy, so that they're interested still in our project. So I told him the next thing that I needed from him was an actual, price proposal to do the different, at least the first stages of the work.
Right.
We had a couple of questions, just how much detail we wanted in certain things, and, right, because with any of these things, you get to the point where, do you want actual 3D renderings of what things might look at? I'm like, well, let's cross that bridge when we get to it down the line. Let's start with the very first stages of
Right.
the analysis of the property and the potential sightings and things
Yeah,
like that.
right.
And then we'll get into more detailed things, which obviously understandably will cost money for down the road. So we said he was gonna put that proposal together. Unfortunately, I was hoping to have it before tonight to share with us, but I didn't get it by this afternoon. So as soon as I do have it, I'll share it with the rest of us, and then, obviously, with any big contract, I don't want to get big, but I mean, any contract that's, comes out of an article where it's gonna fund it.
I
go
think we
before
went with
select-
the right company.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of similar golf course experience.
Yeah.
We seem to get the scope that we're looking for, not too high-end, not a hayfield,
Not
but not
low,
a hay hill.
it's in the middle,
Right.
yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was number 4, right?
What?
Number
3
three,
or 4.
number 3, only 3 of them presented.
Yeah.
One didn't show
Yeah,
up.
one-
right?
One backed out, exactly.
So that was 3.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, he was, is he gonna give us a sketch, more or less, just a
Yeah.
little sketch?
Right, so there would be, right, I told them not to get into like full
Full
bore,
print,
like
yeah.
3D renderings, but absolutely like a 2D sketches of the things, once he talks through
Conceptual
it.
plan.
Exactly.
Right, proposals.
Fred,
So as soon as I get that from him, I'll be able to share that.
All right.
Cart path work, which would be nice to do some cart path.
Yeah, that, you know, and I put in the first page of your little packet there, you see where cart path work was, those are just suggestions from my standpoint. Again, you know, cart path work is there because, you know, we do need to do it. You know, when and how we're going to do it, that's the question, but I didn't want it to be, you know, forgotten completely. We have issues on the 18 cart path where the carts are starting to drive on the rough all the time because there's so many routes that you just, I mean, I can't blame them, I mean, you just bounce, you know, like nobody's
Yeah,
business.
4 2, you're right.
For green, yeah, that's
Yeah.
too many trees. I should say that with you here, but.
We can always take care of
I
that.
know that, that's why I didn't want to, I should have said that.
So,
If
if
that was-
anybody, you know, when the question of cart path work's gonna come up and how, you know, not necessary to discuss it now, but just to keep in mind that we probably need to do some and where we need to do it. That's why I mentioned cart path work. And again, if we're going to decide to do any prep work, it can be done this time of year. And if we are capable of working something out with the DPW, that was when they would probably have more time than anything.
When's the, when did they shut their,
Usually it's
Asphalt
not bad
plants,
for-
I don't know if they may be shut now because it was so cold.
Yeah, I know they just paved Hamlet Street not long,
Yes, a
2
couple
weeks ago, so I mean, I know they were still making it then, but probably,
And
like
they
you
might
said,
be
it's
shut
getting cold, so.
It'd be good to attack as much as we could as far as like cutting out all the real bumpy areas.
Yeah, we have some issues, like for instance, getting down to the second tee that we're going to have to address. And, you know, once we decide on if and where cart path work is going to be done, we're going to have to address the source of the roots because, excuse me, you go out there and you dig up all those roots and as Dan, at least from his perspective, is if he's gonna do all that work to put a cart path in, he's not gonna leave any roots or trees to mess it up, so.
that's.
Why can't you get to the second tee?
It's not this, it's the top end by the first green, how are you gonna get there? You know, by the blue and the black tee? The problem is, you know, you'd either have to.
Tracking down that woods line, no, up by one.
Yeah, but the problem is negotiating the corner by that bunker. And you're not gonna, you know, when it starts going like this, because the asphalt trucks won't fit on the cart path.
Oh, the asphalt trucks, I was thinking.
So the asphalt trucks, you know, coming in there, you know, the asphalt truck's gonna be like this and it's gonna go over. So the idea is to come off of that and go through the woods and create a road similar to what was behind the fifth green. And then that way you have access down there for other work you wanna do with large machinery, but you'll be able to get the asphalt trucks in there and out of there without a significant problem. As well as the excavator, because if you weren't going to do that, then you'd have to walk the excavator down there, and you're not gonna be able to walk it on that blacktop
No,
turn.
that'll kill
So
it.
you'd have to, you know, you could do it out on the grass, but you have, you know, you have to.
So how do we put that plan together?
Again, I mean, the actual putting of the plan together isn't as difficult as finding out how we're, who and how's going to do it. Again, it comes back to that question
That's part
of,
the plan.
huh?
That's part of the.
Well, that's the initiation of the plan, who is, what are they going to be able to do and when? And, because again, I mean, this winter, and unless you get a lot of rain, I mean, that could be especially after, after we close on the 15th.
If
that could-
DPW can't do it, what are the alternatives?
Oh, jeez.
You're gonna have to go out and, this is going to, to put a road, that kind of road back there through there. I don't know if I don't know if you'd find anybody else who just wanna do that. I mean, Dan did it, he did a real nice job behind the 5th green.
Oh, yeah.
He's real handy with that
She
stuff.
made that hole look nice too.
Yeah, well, got rid of all that garbage in the back, and he was able to sit there in the space of an hour and a half, 2 hours with that claw on that machine,
So we
pull
need-
out all of that garbage.
So
that
we
was
need
in
to
there.
get DPW to do.
Yes. That would be my recommendation, because I think you're going to run into a significant cost if you try to get somebody else to do it. Unless we could find somebody who's, a single operator.
Yeah, then they
who
don't have
want
to charge
do
a
it.
municipal wage.
Huh?
Then they don't have to charge a prevailing wage.
Yeah, but you have one guy in one truck, and who's gonna take down the trees and.
But I think if there's something we should ask DPW to do, it is car pass tree works, small asphalt
Yeah,
jobs,
I
that's
agree.
what they do, and they have the equipment and.
They did a nice job on the second hole,
Oh, absolutely, they've
and
done
they did a nice job on the 8th hole.
been a great help in the past, and I think that's
Oh, yeah.
what they do, right? It's not kind of outside their
You come
realm.
out with us and cart blacktop.
Whatever you want me to do.
So it's, I think we
You gotta get
should,
approved to drive the vehicles though.
Um,
So it knows.
I
So I
make
think
the
we should
same
start
amount of
and
money
see-
whether I pull
yeah,
use
so
a
is the
rake or
DPW
use a
willing and
machine.
able to do
Yeah.
this work?
Imagine
And I
that.
think that would be a higher priority, like, to get started as soon as we close, and
Yeah.
then see if we can lock them up into assisting us.
So how do we go about getting DPW?
Well, I mean, I can call him and ask him about his availability, but then I think, there has to be
There's
some
another level
clarification,
we need
yeah.
We need to deal with.
I think we need to go through, make sure we're in cahoots with the whole situation as far as everybody concerned, including the selectmen. So we're not stepping on
Right.
anybody's toes and jumping over the bridge by just going straight to him.
I think it's gonna start with them at least saying that.
Well,
yes,
yeah,
they're
you can
available.
start with
To say
him,
that,
yeah.
to say that they're available to do it, say, okay, great, thank you, Dan, we're glad you're available, presuming he is. And then, you're right, just make sure that,
You can start with him and then, you know,
through the
hope-
through the board of selectmen, say we wanna actually contract with the town ourselves to have the DPW do this work.
Right.
Get their blessing to let it happen, and then move from there. But I just wanna, I wouldn't wanna, I would just wanna make sure that Dan's on board first, saying, yeah, we got the time and availability, and then getting the approval to then go ahead and do it. Master schedule planning is pretty much what we already did, right?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I think we, as we're finding out that we're reaching our 36,000 rounds, we're getting more people, it's more difficult to squeeze them in and so forth. I think we need to be clear on some things like what our opening and closing dates are, when our first tea time is and our last tea time during the course of the season, and that would be addressed in the early part of the season, when daylight and weather is different, during the very busy part of the season, so you can take as much advantage of the good weather that you can, and then towards the end of the season, have some, get a little bit more information from these outing folks about their size and they, a lot of them, they say, oh yeah, Dana, we're gonna have 140 people, and 3 days before the event, they say, oh, well, we only have 75.
That's.
Well, that messes up his schedule and everything.
That can't happen.
So we really gotta, and then any other accommodations they use, like we had
See,
one.
I think all that information that you're talking about, including tea times, tournaments should be put on a website,
Yeah,
everything. So when people come, or people go, Or it should be in a clubhouse too, so when transits come, say, listen, all right, can't play on this day because here's what's going on out there. Because people show up, Steve, you know as much as I do, and they say, what the heck's going on here? Well, you know, if we put it out there, at least we have to
Everybody
come
knows,
back and say, it's out there. These are the days that you people probably, most likely won't be able to play.
Yeah.
And leave it at that. And the starting times are here, there's nothing earlier. I mean, this guy said jump, I know that. You know, when starting time's at 6, I can guarantee you guys, you get guys out here 5:45.
Oh, yeah, well, we have.
And that ain't right.
You know, the thing, that's something that could be, should, you know,
So the spring tee time should be down there, what time we start, what time we close. The summer tee times are all different. Spring, summer goes until what?
Sunset.
End of September?
Yeah.
All right,
Pretty
so,
much till the daylight.
so you got
changes,
March, if we're there, March, April, maybe May. That the tee time start will be different and the ending will be different. And then you have what, October and November, basically, time starts different.
Yeah.
Frost delay, it should always be on the website, we have a frost delay today. I get an email from Resi, it emails all automatic, frost delay, 10 o'clock.
You know, the country club will send a text message, so it's.
Yeah, well, that's what, it has to be done. I mean, that's not your gig, but just to know that we come up with these times, there's a frost delay, don't get here at 8 o'clock in the morning when you're teeing off at 10. And hopefully you can jump on before like 9:30, no, it's 10.
If I'm not mistaken, years ago, like say June, July, and August especially, we used to open up Monday to Thursday earlier than we do now, right?
Oh, yeah, we used to open up, gee,
5:30?
when I first started working here, we used to open up 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
It was at least.
Jerry be coming in the gate, Jerry and Sue be coming in the gate 15 minutes behind me, you know.
And it was closing at sunset.
it just sets a bad precedent when you let people out earlier than what they're supposed to. If you do
Well,
it for one-
the problem is, and, you know, I'm not gonna discuss it, you know, that should be something that can be discussed in the, what do they call those things, executive session. But you have certain, participants that, you know, tee off early, and other people see it, so they think they can come right behind and do the same thing,
Can't do that.
so. And
It's gotta be a schedule, it's gonna be stuck to, you know?
Some of those are probably your own employees.
Well, you let one go, they all start jumping.
You know, I
I'm not gonna stir that pot, but that's
I understand.
correct.
I understand.
All right, so I think that kind of wraps up tonight. I think it's definitely a good plan, because as we start, before we like get the opening, or right as we're opening next year, I think we should get into, I think,
Yeah.
it's the time.
Start times and all that, yeah.
And I've heard the same thing.
I mean, now's the time to do it, because, you know, it's, you know, after the holidays, we're not open, we have some time, everybody can put their thoughts together.
You know, and if there's a calendar on the website or something, like you said, John, I mean, I've had people say to me, like, oh yeah, I went to go play, only to see like the parking lot was full, and it was full because it was out now because they were busy, so I had no chance of even waiting or squeezing in somewhere, and had I known, I wouldn't have even driven over there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not that I've heard it a lot, but I've heard that a few times, so
Oh,
why not just make it a little bit easier on the customer and not aggravate them?
The other thing I get is the rates. Hey, how much is it to play at 3 o'clock? I mean, I can put them on the back of my shirt. There's a bazillion different rates.
Yeah.
I mean, the rates are different. I don't really know. Why don't you want a committee? Yeah, it's nothing to, yeah, I am. Yeah. But I'm eating dinner now, so don't ask me that kind of
But,
question.
yeah, put it on,
Well, that's
put it on
another
the
thing, you know,
website,
that the
yeah,
rate should
website,
be,
yeah.
you know, on the website. You know, what, the new rates. So
That's a
people,
fight we've been fighting for a long time.
well, it's gotta
We
be,
can't just change jobs.
well, maybe the new girl that we're hiring there.
Yeah, but they should have, I mean, you should have access to the website just on your separate tab.
Right.
You can edit it in 2
Oh, yeah.
seconds.
Oh, yeah.
But somebody's gotta do that, right?
Well, someone's gotta input it, yeah.
Somebody's gotta pay attention.
It's gotta be inputted, yes.
But
Not
especially,
operating a cash register.
especially if it's tied in with golf now, it should be easy, relatively easy to do. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's, like you said, you see it time and time again, so it can't be the most difficult thing to And I mean, I can,
Hey,
as far
next
as,
meeting.
as far as my stuff, I mean, I can make up my,
It's
I can
overdone.
produce my schedule,
I'm on
somebody can add it on there, because I don't have any.
What do you want, a
access
tomahawk?
To the website.
Doers on the
Oh, I thought you were looking for a tomahawk steak. I heard about that.
That was last night, Captain.
See, the whole thing,
No.
those are pretty big.
And it's my phone.
I heard all about it.
Who told you about it?
I can't, we have to go into the executive session.
Your name is Is that camera off already?
Anyway, so what are we
next
looking at?
Motion to adjourn.
No, we gotta pick a next meeting.
Good, whatever. As far as now.
You're not taking care of any cats this time?
Yeah, in March I.
Oh, in March,
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
Oh, look,
For
somewhere
another,
in
another.
January.
I don't know about next year. This might be their last year for a while. They get older first off, so.
Yeah, like the 9th, 16th, 23rd.
I think 23rd's better for me.
I went to to buy a new phone, and I got there with this new thing that they
All
have.
right, 9 and 23,
Guy
anybody
goes
have a
over here
preference?
like this.
Um,
He says, there's a little
no,
spreadsheet.
I'm good either way,
I
9
can't
or
give it to you,
23.
your thing is not worth nothing.
If you want me to state a preference, 23 would be fine.
Of what, January?
Looking at January.
January
January.
22nd?
No, either 9 or 23.
Oh, I don't care.
All right, then,
Oh, wait, that's
I
crazy.
subjugate your vote.
23?
23rd.
He wants it earlier,
Boy,
right?
4:30?
Yeah.
23rd,
Yeah,
January.
Yeah.
all right,
21st, is that what it is?
23rd
Wow.
It's Thursday, it's the last Thursday
of
in,
January.
no, it's the first before the last Thursday in January.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I leave it
Third
every
Got it that way.
That makes sense, right?
Oh, yeah, that just made a lot
That's
of
the same
sense.
week I'm gonna leave.
Uh-oh. Well, after the meeting, get your flight, don't go before.
I already have the flight.
So now we can take a motion to adjourn or something.
So moved.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.